Hello everyone, this is part 14 of What If Naruto Was the God of Fuinjutsu, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist. To see more, comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. The Deva path threw the small orb into the air until it stopped in the middle of its flight. Damn. Naruto growled as he felt himself being pulled, but was saved by the dense ball in his hand. It's almost like a giant vacuum. The piece of earth Naruto was standing on began to crack until it went skyward towards the orb. I guess I'll have to improvise. Naruto into the rocky surface in the sky as more rock piled on top of him until he was no longer visible. It's over. Pain stated as he turned away. Whatever that jutsu was, it was pointless. He began to walk away with the orb of earth following him slowly, but that was when the ground began to shake. What? Pain looked back up at the orb and saw that it was shaking uncontrollable until it exploded, sending a shockwave that shoved the Deva path against a rock with enough force to make an indentation. Pain looked up to see that the Chibaku Tensei was blown in half, with Naruto looking down at him with a smile. He destroyed it. Naruto jumped from the earth ball just as it began to crumble, but the moment Naruto touched the ground, he vanished in a flash of light. Naruto reappeared in front of the Deva path with a look in his eyes. You lose. Naruto looked out to Omegakure as he picked up the Deva path's body and vanished in a flash of light. XXX. Madara just walked out of the crypt when Zetsu appeared next to him. Naruto is fighting Nagato at Omegakure. Madara simply shrugged at that information. I have faith that Nagato will beat Naruto. Madara looked at Zetsu, who looked nervous. Is there something else? Yeah, he managed to bring the Hachibi's Jinchuriki back to life after the sealing. Madara's lone eye widened. You know what that means, Madara? Yeah, looks like Naruto has finally gotten a grip on his half of Kyuubi's chakra. Madara chuckled at this. Perhaps we should go and watch the finally confrontation between Naruto and Nagato. Zetsu nodded as he vanished underground while Madara disappeared into his vortex. XXX. Naruto reappeared in the center of Omegakure, making the civilians jump backwards. He's here somewhere. Naruto closed his eyes for a second until he opened them slowly, looking towards the lone tower in the distance. There he is. Naruto vanished once more, leaving behind startled people. Naruto appeared in front of a giant metal door only to see Konan standing in front of him. Out of my way, Naruto stated with no emotion in his orange eyes. I'm afraid I can't do that. Konan began to peel like paper as wings appeared on her back. I don't want to fight you. Naruto kept his eyes locked on hers as a torrent of paper surrounded both her and Naruto. But if you continue, I will have no choice but to beat you down. Konan's response was creating a spear made out of paper as she readied herself to fight Naruto. Naruto sighed as he shifted Yahiko's body onto his back. Fine, if you want to fight. Konan vanished in a flurry of paper as the paper covered Naruto's vision. Konan swung his spear at Naruto's back only for it to be caught by Naruto. Try again, but that was when Naruto saw the tags. Explosive tags. Naruto and Konan were consumed in a giant explosion that shook the tower and sent Naruto backwards into the wall. I'm willing to S for Nagato, Konan announced as the dust cleared, revealing that her paper body was blown in half. That is how far my faith in him goes. I don't have time for this. Naruto grunted as he got up, feeling his chakra level dropping slowly. I'll end this in one move. Naruto vanished in a flash of light as he reappeared behind Konan as more paper bombs surrounded the two. Stop. Konan immediately flew backwards, avoiding Naruto's L that created a crater. I was wondering when you and me would see each other face to face. Naruto looked up to see that the giant metal doors were opened, revealing an emaciated man in a metal wheelchair. I am Nagato. Naruto looked at him as he released Kyuubi's chakra to stop the drain on his. So you're the one who Jiraiya-sensei. Naruto watched as Nagato smiled at that. Yes, I Jiraiya-sensei. This brought a confused look to Naruto's face. You never knew, did you? But Konan and me were once Jiraiya's students. Naruto's eyes widened at that as he began to shake. Does that anger you to know that a former student Jiraiya? Why? Naruto looked at both Konan and Nagato with confusion. If you were his students, then why would you want war? War. Nagato edged his head a little to the side. But we don't want war, we want peace. Naruto's confused look and angered eyes made Nagato continue. We want to capture the Biju to create a weapon capable of destroying an entire village within seconds. How is that peace? Naruto yelled out. Doing something like that will only further war. No, it won't, Nagato stated with a frown. People will hear about this weapon and will ask for its use against a rival village. After seeing what they did causing so much pain and suffering, they will begin to fear war and peace will reign. That's wrong, Naruto said, not believing what he heard from Nagato. Hundreds of people in order to create peace is not true peace. What will happen to those who survived the blast? They will allow hatred to guide them against the village that destroyed theirs and a war will break out. The peace you are talking about is only temporary, it won't last forever, and when it does end, they will ask for the use of the weapon again. Nagato smiled at that as Naruto realized what he was doing. I knew that this peace would only be temporary, but whenever that peace ends, a new one will begin after the weapon is used. Naruto looked at the ground as he began to shake even more. There is no such thing as true peace, but with your death I will bring peace to this war-ridden land. Suddenly a black spike shot out of Nagato's wheelchair, impaling Naruto in the stomach. From this distance I can control your entire body. Nagato stopped speaking as a flash of red-slitted eyes behind a closed cage door appeared in his head. Clever boy, Nagato stated as he began to shake from the chakra coming back from Naruto. Naruto jerked his head up, revealing red-slitted eyes as he ripped the chakra receiver from his stomach. You are not a student of Jiraiya, Naruto growled out. No student of his would walk down this type of path. You are nothing more than a tyrant if that is your type of peace. Naruto screamed this out, making Nagato narrow his eyes at Naruto with both confusion and hatred. You don't know anything, boy, Nagato stated as he leaned back into his chair. We have suffered pain that you couldn't even dream of. I saw both my parents in front of my eyes, IK my best friend, and everything that I loved around me. Naruto's eyes returned to normal as he began to calm down. You know nothing of the true world. The peace Jiraiya spoke of is nothing more than a lie. People will never understand one another, it is impossible, they will always fight. Nagato looked at Naruto as his eyes shinned in the darkness. Even now you hate me, you want to kill me. Don't deny it, I can see everything with these eyes. Naruto looked at Nagato directly into his eyes. Well, what will you do? Will you kill me and let this world destroy itself, or will you surrender? Naruto looked off into the sky with a small smile on his face as he gripped Jiraiya's headband tighter. I can't forgive what you did. Nagato sighed as Konan got ready to fight. But I can't surrender either. Jiraiya-sensei believed that there would come a time when people would understand one another, and as a former student I must follow the same path he gave to me. So I won't kill you, Nagato. If I did kill you, then I would be an instrument for your own village's anger. Naruto gestured to the village behind him with a solemn expression. How can you believe that? Nagato yelled out as he looked at Naruto, who smiled back at him. That peace is nothing, but then I'll find peace. Nagato stopped and watched Naruto with a different look in his eyes. I know the road will be difficult, but I can't give up even if I have to create peace out of nothing. Naruto then pointed at himself with his thumb with a giant smile on his face. I swear this on my village, name, and clan, I will make sure peace exists, for I am Naruto Uzumaki of the Uzumaki clan. Nagato eyes widened at Naruto's statement as he looked at him. Uzumaki, Nagato mumbled, making Naruto and Konan look at him in worry. My mom used to tell me of how she was from a clan that was destroyed during one of the wars. She would tell me all about them and how they were feared for their Fuinjutsu. Naruto looked at Nagato as his confusion increased. Dark red hair and skilled in Fuinjutsu, Naruto stated in a shocked voice. Those are signs of an Uzumaki. All those seals we encountered and that seal on the Preta path were all high level, something that even Seal Master would have trouble of doing. You're an Uzumaki, aren't you? Before Nagato could speak, another voice spoke up. What are you doing, Nagato? Madara's voice rang as he appeared next to him. Finish him off and we can go create a world of peace. Nagato didn't move or speak as Madara looked between him and Naruto. You didn't tell me. Madara's eye widened as he was shoved by a strong force into a wall. That he was my part of my family. Madara glared at Nagato as his chair slowly turned to him. I guess I should have known better than to think you would kill him if you knew who he was. Madara slowly got out of the rubble with his Sharingan morphing into his eternal Mangekyo. Troublesome Uzumaki. No matter how small the B relation, they always have to team up. Conan, take care of Naruto. Nagato commanded as his chair opened up, dropping Nagato onto his knees. I don't have anything left to give you, Naruto, except this. You are the one to bring peace. I believe in you, Naruto. Conan went to go and help Nagato, but Nagato waved her down. Thank you for all your help, Conan. Please help Naruto. You can no longer help me in this endeavor. Yes, we can. Naruto yelled out. We can finish. I can never forgive myself for being used by this man. Then, to the surprise of everyone, with what little strength Nagato had, he stood on his two wobbly legs. But I can make sure to buy you enough time to get out of here. I'm not going anywhere. Naruto stopped when Nagato raised his hand and with his palm pointing at him. Goodbye, Naruto. Naruto was suddenly blasted by Nagato off the tower and sent straight into his village. Conan, I ask you to help Naruto in defeating Madara. I also would like you to take Yahiko's body away from here. Conan nodded her head, but tears threatened to fall as she wrapped Yahiko's body in paper. Goodbye, Nagato. With that, Conan vanished in a swirl of paper, leaving behind a smiling Madara and an angered Nagato. I'm afraid your sacrifice is in vain. Madara slowly walked forward as Nagato tried to keep his balance. I'll just teleport to Naruto's location and then. That was when Madara felt the pressure begin to increase until he could no longer move. I know I might not be able to KO you. Nagato's eyes glinted with power as he began to increase the gravity in the area. But I can at least slow you down. Madara's eye widened as he saw a black orb appear above them. Chibaku Tensei, Seiitsu, heavenly body bursting from the earth, subjugating pressure. The orb suddenly expanded until it reached the edge of Nagato's village. Suddenly the black energy shot downwards, causing the entire area to shake from the impact of the attack. Nagato felt himself floating in darkness as he gently closed his eyes. Naruto, I wonder what would have been if we met under different circumstances. Nagato smiled as he felt his life drawing to an end. Maybe we could have changed the world together. The black beam vanished, leaving behind a gaping hole in the ground. XXX. Naruto opened his eyes to find himself surrounded by Omegacorps ninja forces. What have you done to Pain-sama? One ninja questioned, holding a kunai at the ready. Stop. Everyone turned to the source of the voice. Nagato sacrificed his life to save this boy. The ninja turned as Naruto got up and looked at Conan with an almost depressed look in his eyes. Naruto, you shouldn't be saddened by Nagato's death. He believed that you would be the one to change the world for the better. Conan held out her hand as she created a bouquet of flowers out of paper. And we shall honor Nagato's finally wish and help you. The ninja of Am bowed their heads with sad eyes full of tears at the death of Nagato. Thank you, Conan. Naruto gently took the flowers away and looked towards the setting sun. Now let's end this crusade. XXX. Madara teleported back to his hideout, arms wrapped around his stomach as he coughed. So I take it Nagato betrayed us. Zetsu stated as Madara glared at him. Yes. Then Madara began to spin his vortex as he dropped the B of both Nagato and Minato. But even the S can serve a purpose. Zetsu smiled as he licked his lips as Madara bent down and picked the B up and walked out. Sasuke kept his eyes on Madara as he watched him go to a nearby door. Sasuke, I have an important mission for you. Sasuke just grunted as he looked away. I want you to take Zetsu on an attack on Konohagakure. This perked Sasuke's eagerness as he looked at Madara. But the moment the other hidden villagers are trying to help Konoha, I want you to find Naruto and bring him to me. Madara then vanished behind the door as Sasuke smiled. Revenge will soon be mine. Sasuke announced as he walked out with the plant man following. XXX. Day later. Naruto looked out his window to see the people of Uzushiogakure preparing for the war ahead. Are you sure we can trust her? Yukaikan asked from behind Naruto, who smiled. Yes, I'm positive. Naruto turned as Tensa walked in. How are your forges holding? Tensa smiled as he patted his head, allowing soot to fall. Fully operational. Tensa then produced a scroll and passed it to Naruto. This just came for you, Gufukage-sama. Tensa gave the scroll to Naruto, who gladly accepted it with a smile that Tensa returned as he walked out. Naruto looked at the scroll for a few more seconds before putting it down on his desk. I want to know something, Yukaikan. Yukaiken waited for Naruto's question with a knowing smile. Did you know there were other Uzumaki survivors? Your grandfather suspected that some of the Uzushio may have survived and scattered into different regions. Yukaiken gave a sigh as he sat down. But we could never find any. If we known who that Nagato kid was, we would have helped him. I'm sorry that you lost another member of your family, Naruto, but right now we can't lose our focus. We must be steadfast in the war ahead. Naruto nodded his head as he sat down with a smirk, but that quickly faded as he looked at Yukaiken. We need to watch him closely, Naruto stated with a definite tone in his voice. I understand he will be watched. Yukaiken gave a quick bow, but before he left he gave Naruto one last piece of info. Kumo and Konoha are going to have a problem with the other, and you know it, Naruto. Naruto nodded his head as he stared at Yukaiken. I know, but we all need to work together. Yukaiken nodded and left while Naruto looked out the window as a single hawk flew into the air. What are you up to? Naruto thought as he looked at the scroll on his desk. XXX. Kabuto was humming a happy tone as he walked through the hallway that was littered with bee. I wonder if he survived my little test. He looked at the creature in the middle of the room as it slowly reverted back to a human. Well, you did quite well, Jugo. Jugo walked into the light with a blank stare in his eyes as he looked at Kabuto. Naruto thinks he has me on a short leash, but he is wrong. Kabuto revealed the seal on his stomach as he reached for it. I have all the powers of Orochimaru. He rubbed the area where his seal was only for his skin to begin to shed. No harm can come to this body. Now are you ready for the final stage of my plan, Jugo? Jugo didn't answer, just kept staring off into space, making Kabuto smile. I knew I could count on you. With that, Kabuto laughed, causing it to echo down the dark hallway. XXX. Madara walked out of the darkness of the tunnel as Sasuke walked up to him. Is the army ready? Madara asked as he looked at Sasuke with his new Rinnegan eye. Yes. Sasuke glared up at the rippled eye as Madara eyed his head in confusion. Why have you disgraced your Uchiha body with that eye? Because to finish what we started I need this eye. Madara watched as Sasuke growled out. And besides, this eye belonged to me long before Nagato. So I'm just naturally taking back what belongs to me. Madara turned just as Zetsu appeared in front of him. Status. The army is moving towards Konoha and should reach there by nightfall. Madara smiled underneath his mask. Excellent. Madara turned to Sasuke, who was looking around with a bored expression. Sasuke, you know what to do. Sasuke turned his Sharingan eyes upon Madara with a smirk. Yeah. With that, Sasuke vanished in a burst of black fire. He's getting better with his control over Amaterasu. Madara stated as he looked at the burnt ground where Sasuke stood. You know he plans on KU. Zetsu's eyes widened as Madara chuckled at that. Yes, it is quite amusing. Madara turned his eyes on Zetsu. But by the time he tries anything it will be too late. I'm going ahead with the plan. But you don't have the Kyuubi. Zetsu watched as Madara summoned the Gedo Mazo. Zetsu noticed the ceiling had begun on somebody as his body fell from the dragons onto the cold ground. I don't have one half of the Kyuubi. Madara looked at the body of Minato. He placed the other half inside of himself, but now it belongs to me. But how is that possible? Zetsu asked as he narrowed his eyes at Madara. He may have sealed the other half of Kyuubi into himself, but surely the Shinigami devoured it along with his soul. He did, but he didn't foresee the last power of the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Madara's eye seemed to twitch as he stared at the Minato's body. Azanami, she who invites, is the power to resurrect the S fully by pulling their soul back from death. It can even bring them back even if they are in the Shinigami's stomach, but this is not without a drawback of its own. The longer the person has been S, the more Sharingan eyes you must sacrifice. Now comes the beginning of the end for Konoha and the rule of Madara Uchiha. Even if you have it, your plan won't work without both halves. Zetsu watched as Minato's body slowly disintegrated into ash. I won't be able to cast Tsukuyomi on the moon, Madara announced as the statue began to glow. But I will still be able to use the Jubi, 10-tailed beast. I'm simply sealing Jubi inside of me a little early. Then when Naruto is in my grasp I'll deal with Sasuke and then the world. Madara watched as the statue slowly sink down into the ground once again with a smile. Now I think it's time that you pay Konoha a little visit, Zetsu. Zetsu nodded his head and sunk into the ground with a smirk. Soon the world will bow at my feet. With that, Madara left to finish the last of his plan. XXX. Sasuke watched with his Sharingan as the army of Zetsu began to march towards Konoha with a smile of glee. Soon Konoha will pay for what they did, brother. Sasuke stated as he began to walk towards Konoha as well. And when I get done with Naruto, I will see that Madara faces the same fate. With that, Sasuke began to laugh as he thought about fulfilling his revenge. Sasuke never noticed Zetsu beneath him listening to his every word. Such a stupid boy, Zetsu thought with a smile as he continued to travel beneath Sasuke. He has no idea what Madara is about to become. Zetsu poked his head out of the ground behind Zetsu and looked up at the moon, seeing that it was pure red. Soon everyone will fall before the power of Madara Uchiha. Zetsu turned and followed after Sasuke with a smile of pure enjoyment. Kakashi looked around at Konoha with a puzzled expression until soon it appeared behind him. What are you doing? Kakashi turned towards her with a worried look in his eye. I just have this strange feeling. Kakashi turned back to the quiet village. Something isn't quite right. Tsunade looked around with narrowed eyes as she scanned the village as well. I know what you mean, she stated as she looked back at Kakashi. I felt the same ever since we came back. Kakashi turned to look at Tsunade when he noticed a human form slowly disappearing into the ground. I knew it. Kakashi gritted his teeth. There was something there a second ago. It kind of looked like that plant guy from Akatsuki. Tsunade turned and looked at the same spot as she slowly reached for the tag that was attached to her waist. This is bad, Tsunade murmured as she yanked the tag off, causing it to ignite. She threw it into the air just as it blew up, lighting up the dark skies above Konoha, causing various shinobi to wake up. People of Konoha, we are under attack. This got everyone's attention as they rushed to get ready just as Zetsu appeared in front of Kakashi and Tsunade. You ruined all the fun I was going to have. Zetsu lowered his head with a disappointed sigh. But I guess we can do this the hard way. With that, Zetsu smiled up at Tsunade, sending a chill down her spine. Right, Sasuke. Kakashi turned around just as Sasuke appeared in a swirl of black flames. Sasuke looked at Kakashi with his eternal mangekyo as his hair covered the top of his eyes. This is going to be fun, Sasuke replied as he licked his lips as Kakashi lifted his headband. I told you Konoha was going to burn to the ground. Kakashi glared at Sasuke as the village began to stir just as the Zetsu army appeared out of the ground. XXX. Naruto was just about to head to sleep when a buzzing sound woke him up with a start. He ran to his desk and opened it up to reveal tags with different symbols on each. Naruto gritted his teeth as he saw that the one with the leaf catch fire. Konoha. Naruto immediately went to work of waking the shinobi of Uzushio. Yukaiken appeared behind Naruto with a tired look in his eyes. What's wrong, Naruto? Yukaiken mumbled out as he stifled a yawn. They are attacking Konoha. Naruto looked at Yukaiken with seriousness as this knocked him out of his tired stupor. I'll get everyone organized. Yukaiken gave a bow as he vanished, leaving behind Naruto, who only glared at the direction Konoha was. So it begins, Naruto thought as he turned and left to get the village ready. XXX. Kakashi dodged a Chidori aimed at his head by Sasuke and promptly kicked the Uchiha off the building. He jumped after him with his regular eye closed, focusing his attention on his Sharingan. This time there is no escape, Sasuke. Kakashi yelled out as Sasuke smirked up at his former mentor. Who says I want to escape? Sasuke began to charge his hand up with lightning. I'm perfectly happy right here. Chidori ISO, 1000 birds sharp spear. Sasuke swung his arm at Kakashi just as the lightning fired in a straight line. Kakashi moved his head just as the lightning blade passed by his head. Kakashi turned his body around just in time to land on his feet and form a hand sign. Kaiten, Gokakyu no Jutsu. Kakashi fired the ball of flame only for it to smack into Sasuke's Amaterasu barrier. How sad. Sasuke smirked from the black fire. I guess it's my turn. Kakashi's eyes widened as the fire came at him in the form of a giant wave. If I dodge, Konoha will be burned to ash. Kakashi gritted his teeth as his Sharingan began to morph. Kamui. Sasuke watched as his fire was pulled into another dimension, leaving behind a blackened earth. Kakashi looked around as various civilians were running towards the Hokage monument with various shinobi for protection. Don't worry, after I deal with you they're next. Kakashi glared at Sasuke, who smiled back. Now where were we? Kakashi watched as the black fire erupted from beneath Sasuke and expanded around him. Kakashi charged up a Raikiri as it jumped out of his hand and began to spark, hitting the ground. Raiten, Urufunida, lightning release. Wolf pack. Kakashi glared at Sasuke as 5 different lightning-shaped wolves. We were ending this. Sasuke sneered at Kakashi as Amaterasu danced around him. Then let's end this, Kakashi-sensei. The black fire swirled around Sasuke like a small twister as he jumped at Kakashi and his lightning pack. XXX. It is a lot to ask, Naruto announced at the gathered shinobi. But I ask you to join me in what shall be a war. The shinobi looked at one another with worried looks in their eyes. We need to work with the other villages in order to defeat Akatsuki. So I ask you not as your leader, but as a friend, will you help me? Tensa smiled from the crowd as he raised his arm. I shall join you in this cause. Tensa shouted out to be heard. Me too, came Haku's reply. You don't even have to ask, came Yukaiken's cry of joy. Pretty soon the entire village was cheering to join Naruto's mission. Thank you all. Naruto smiled down at everyone. But we can't leave our village undefended. I can only take at least 5. This brought a murmur of confusion from the crowd. We are still growing as a hidden village with very little ninja to make up our forces. I want to leave the rest of you here in case Madara tries anything against us. The group nodded with smiles on their faces. I can have specially made armor all ready to be giving to us. Tensa announced as he clapped his hands as a large amount of smoke appeared. The armor in question was pitch black with a blue swirl on each. The seals on them allow you to create barriers and fire high pressurized water from each palm. Tensa smiled as the entire group began to grab at the armor and began to suit up for the war to come. Tensa walked up to Naruto, who stood with Haku, Yukaiken, and Enmatsuki. So who is the 5th in this little group? You mean the 4th? Yukaiken looked down at Enmatsuki, who glared up at him. You are staying here. The hell I am. Enmatsuki yelled out as she held Yukaiken in the arm. I'm not being left out again. This isn't up to discussion. Yukaiken yelled back with anger. Is there something I should know? Naruto asked as he looked between the two. No, Naruto. Enmatsuki looked at the ground with a slight blush as Naruto continued to look it up and down until he smiled. So how long? Yukaiken cursed as he turned away from Naruto. I just found out 2 days ago. Enmatsuki tried to get some distance between her and Naruto, but he quickly gave her a deep hug. Congratulations, you two. Naruto smiled at both Yukaiken and Enmatsuki, who smiled down at Naruto. You two always made a cute couple. Yukaiken looked back at Enmatsuki. I can't let you or our child be hurt in the war. Yukaiken grabbed Enmatsuki by the shoulders. Please just stay here. Enmatsuki looked like she was about to argue, but smiled instead. I guess I can play babysitter one last time. Enmatsuki looked at Yukaiken with some tears in her eyes. But promise me you will return safely. I promise. We will return. With that, the 3 vanished in a giant swirl of water, leaving behind a village preparing for battle. XXX. Kakashi dodged a giant skeletal hand encased in black fire as he looked down at his last 2 lightning dogs. This is bad. Kakashi looked around to see the other Konoha shinobi slowly falling beneath the waves of Zetsu. At this rate we will fall from the sheer number of them. Kakashi ducked and then jumped back onto a nearby building and began to run across the rooftops as Sasuke began to laugh. This is amusing to me. Sasuke's eyes were wild and glinted in the black fire. The great Kakashi running away from me. Kakashi smiled under his mask as he saw both his hounds jump out of the ground right behind Sasuke. Sasuke turned just in time to see the hounds descend upon him in an explosion of lightning. Kakashi skidded to a stop and activated his Mangekyo, already knowing what Sasuke activated. You can't get through the power of Susanoo. Sasuke stopped as he saw the area in front of his head begin to swirl into a vortex. Kamui. Kakashi's Mangekyo spun once before ripping the piece of armor away from the Susanoo. Kakashi then took a kunai with explosive tags and promptly threw it into the hole, but Susanoo quickly brought its arm up to defend, causing an explosion that pushed the giant back. Kakashi fell to one knee as his chakra took a big hit from using Kamui. He watched as the giant loaded an arrow into its bow and aimed at Kakashi. Goodbye, Kakashi. The giant fired as the arrow headed straight for Kakashi as he slowly closed his eyes, knowing he couldn't dodge the projectile. Hakusho Kaiten, 8 trigrams palms heavenly spin. Kakashi's eyes widened as a dome of spinning chakra appeared in front of him, allowing the arrow to collide, sending it to the right, destroying the building it smacked into. It is time you were put into your place, boy. Hiashi stopped spinning as Hinata, Shikamaru, Sakura, Neji, and Lee appeared in front of Kakashi. Sakura looked at Sasuke as he frowned at the group in front of him. Sasuke, what are you doing? Sasuke turned his emotionless gaze upon Sakura, who flinched from the cold eyes. I'm destroying Konoha. Sasuke finally let his smile be seen. That is my new dream. Sasuke let out a laugh that made the entire group shudder as he kept chuckling at them. And there is not a damn thing you can do to stop me. Shikamaru narrowed his eyes as everyone dropped into a different fighting position. Now who's first? Shikamaru's shadow began to slither towards Sasuke, who kept his smiling going. Sasuke jumped with his Susanoo, grabbing onto a building, pulling him to its rooftop. You are all doomed. Sasuke's Susanoo loaded another arrow into the crossbow and aimed it at the group. Susanoo fired the arrow, but just as the group jumped to avoid the arrow, another was sent at them. That giant is constantly reloading the crossbow in a blink of an eye. Shikamaru thought as he took cover behind some rubble. With that, it could be stated that it consumes quite a bit of chakra to fire it this quickly. Shikamaru nodded towards Lee, who nodded back and took off his training weights. Lee jumped from behind his hiding place and vanished in a burst of speed, reappearing right behind Sasuke. Sasuke turned his head as a burst of green chakra erupted from Lee as he aimed AL at the Susanoo. You fool! Sasuke shouted as he had Susanoo swing its arm around, connecting with Lee, sending him into a building at an angle into the ground. Who's next? Sasuke never finished his question as Hiashi, Hinata, and Neji jumped in front of him, swinging their palms forward. Haku Heikisho, 8 trigrams empty wall palm. Sasuke felt the wave of chakra smack into his Susanoo as he was shoved off the building. Hiashi landed on the ground only to disappear and appear above Sasuke. Hak Hasengeki, 8 trigrams mountain crusher. Hiashi swung both his palms forward, sending a visible wave of chakra at Sasuke. Susanoo folded its arms in front of Sasuke as it was blasted by the chakra wave, forcing it into the ground, causing a giant cloud of earth and dust to shoot upwards. Hiashi landed beside the crater, glaring at the flare of chakra that spiked from the rubble as Sasuke slowly emerged. Hiashi's eyes widened slightly as Sasuke's chakra began to get more erratic by the second. Is that all you got? The smoke cleared, revealing Sasuke, who had his head to one side with B dripping down his left eye. Enten, Gojinka, blaze release, volcanic eruption. Everyone began to look around as the ground began to shake as Sasuke began to chuckle. This is the end. Hiashi looked down at the ground just in time to see the ground split beneath him. He jumped back just as a pillar of Amaterasu erupted out of the ground, nearly incinerating Hiashi. Father! Hinata began to run to her father, only for a pillar of Amaterasu to erupt in front of her. Stay back, Hinata. Hiashi turned to his daughter with fire in his eyes as he slowly turned his attention on Sasuke. You dare raise your hand against my daughter? I will make you pay for trying to destroy the very source of my pride. Hiashi charged with his body glowing with chakra, Hak Bishaman, 8 trigrams Bishaman. The chakra began to form around Hiashi almost like a suit of armor as he continued towards Sasuke with intent reflected in his white eyes. This is the blade that will end your existence. Hiashi held out his palm as a beam of chakra extended into a thin blade. Sasuke jumped just in time to avoid the chakra blade, but the blade phased right through a piece of destroyed building without harming it. Sasuke pulled his own sword out and brought it down on Hiashi, who spun around on his heel, bringing the chakra blade into Sasuke's stomach. Sasuke smiled down at Hiashi as he glared up at Sasuke. What is that supposed to? Sasuke suddenly began to shake as he felt his chakra points begin to close. Damn! Sasuke jumped back away from the chakra blade as Hiashi stood at the ready. So that blade isn't meant to cause external damage, but instead internal. You are correct, Uchiha. Hiashi growled out as he watched the black fire make a circle around them. It closes off the chakra points until only a few remain. This attack is designed to close off the chakra points until the only ones left are the ones near your cold heart. Sasuke narrowed his eyes as Neji and Hinata looked on in shock. US from your own chakra crushing your heart into dust. With that, Hiashi jumped towards Sasuke, who only smiled up at him as more Amaterasu flames sprung up around him. Your power will never reach me. Sasuke smirked as he saw rage flash in Hyashi's eyes. My hate and anger is stronger than yours. Sasuke charged his sword with lightning as a dangerous glint flashed in his eyes. They two clashed in the middle of the blaze, both glaring at the other as they sought to gain advantage over the other. Sasuke jumped over Hyashi as he swung his blade repeatedly, but Hyashi's chakra armor held firm, causing Sork to growl in frustration. Sasuke landed on his feet and threw his sword into the air as he charged up a Chidori. Sasuke charged towards the Hyuga leader as he held his palms out. Sasuke swung his Chidori just as Hyashi swung his right palm. The two attacks collided, causing the ground underneath the impact to begin to crack. Hyashi narrowed his eyes as he began to focus more chakra into his palm, forcing Sasuke back. You will s here. Hyashi growled out as he swung his left palm directly at Sasuke's chest. Sasuke watched as the palm moved towards his chest, and just as it was about to connect, he spun on his heel. I will not s by anyone's hands. Sasuke smirked as his Mangekyo spun, making the black flames flicker. But it doesn't look so good for your daughter. Sasuke turned his head and fixed his eyes on Hinata, causing the Amaterasu rush at her. Hinata went to move out of the line of fire, but found herself unable to move. Hinata looked down to see a white Zetsu holding her legs down, keeping her perfectly still. Hinata looked back up just in time to see her father vanish in a blur of speed. Everyone covered their eyes as the flames exploded after colliding with Hinata, causing a laugh to rip through the air. It is done. Kakashi glared as his Mangekyo began to spin, fixing itself upon Sasuke, who only smiled back as the flames began to s. I would look to where Hinata is standing. Kakashi didn't budge an inch until he heard a pained groan cry out. He looked towards the source only to find Hinata unharmed, but standing in front of her was Hyashi. Are you all right? Hyashi asked, turning his head until only one of his eyes were looking at Hinata. Father, Hinata asked, shaking as she saw B begin to drip from Hyashi's mouth. Hyashi fell backwards at that precise moment, only to be caught by Hinata. Hinata looked at Hyashi's burnt body with fist-sized craters scattered around his chest. Why did you jump in the way? Hyashi smiled up at his daughter as his Byakugan deactivated. It is a father's duty to protect his family. Hyashi coughed as more B began to pour out of his mouth. I'm sorry, Hinata. Hinata stared down at her father as tears began to build. For what? Hinata asked, but already fearing the answer he might give. For not being able to see you grow up into the strong and courageous woman I know you will become. Hyashi gently lifted his hand and rubbed his daughter's cheek. Promise me you will never change, Hinata. I won't have to. Hyashi smiled a little bigger at those words. Because I'm going to take you to a medic. Hinata, you and I both know it is too late. Hyashi felt his eyelids grow heavy, but kept them open. I will always be there for you, Hinata, remember that. Hinata nodded her head as Hyashi finally closed his eyes and fell limp. Everyone looked at Sasuke, who simply smirked at all the glares. What can I say? Sasuke shrugged his shoulders and popped his neck as he looked at them with anger. Love is point. Suddenly the hilt of a staff smacked into Sasuke's face, sending him spinning into a building. Everyone looked at the newcomers only to see Naruto holding his staff with a potent fire brewing deep within his blue eyes. Sasuke emerged from the rubble with a glare just as Ukaiken, Tensor, and Konan appeared right beside Naruto. So you finally came. What have you done? Naruto growled out with barely self-contained anger. Sasuke chuckled at Naruto's words as he looked towards the grieving Hinata. I showed her what the pain of losing a family member is like. Sasuke stopped smiling as a blast of chakra created a 2-foot-wide crater underneath Naruto. So finally you get it. I am an avenger. Sasuke got down into a fighting position, but Naruto suddenly appeared right beside him in a burst of light. Sasuke turned his just as Naruto kicked him in the face, sending him directly out of Konoha and towards their finally fight. Naruto turned to Hinata, who looked up at that exact moment. Naruto. Naruto cringed at the pain in her voice as he looked at Konan, who nodded her head. Hinata, I promise this will not happen again. Naruto announced as he turned his attention back to where Sasuke landed. Hiyashi-sama was a good man and a great father. I promise that his sacrifice will not be in vain. With that, Naruto vanished in a burst of speed, leaving behind 2 footprint-shaped craters. Konan, Tensor, and Ukaiken all walked towards the Konoha group. We also brought some help. Conan gestured up at the mountains behind Konoha just as a wave of shinobi began to appear. We went to every hidden village and told them what was happening, and they immediately began to send out the troops. Kakashi nodded at Conan as Tensor walked forward. Let's get this party over with, Tensor announced as he cracked his knuckles. Koten, Honkyo, Steel Release, Stronghold. Tensor's body began to ripple as his skin turned black and blades began to sprout out of his wrists and back. Everyone watched with wide eyes as he popped his neck and wrist with a broad smile. This is going to be fun. With that, Tensor charged towards the oncoming Zetsu horde. XXX. Sasuke held onto his left arm as he stumbled out of the forest with an angered expression as he came across an open valley with two statues. It began here, Sasuke stated as Naruto appeared behind him. And it will end here. Sasuke jumped just as Naruto's staff was swung at him. Why did you Heihachi? Naruto yelled out with anger in his voice, causing Sasuke to smirk. Why didn't you try and heal him? Sasuke edged his head to one side with a sinister glint in his eyes. Madara has told me everything about the properties of Kyuubi's yang chakra. So again, why not stay and heal him? Because I could only keep him alive and keep supplying life. Naruto narrowed his eyes at his former teammate. But he would continue to S from his wounds no matter what I or anyone else did. I couldn't put Hinata through that again, or Heihachi from feeling that pain over and over again. Sasuke threw back his head and laughed. That is pathetic, Naruto. Sasuke yelled out. You didn't heal him, because you would have lost track of me. Your entire mission in your life was to bring me back to Konoha. Well, what do you think about my little reunion? Do you still want to take me back? Naruto just stared at the ground as his grip on his staff tightened. Well, make your choice. I'm sorry, Naruto stated out loud with some sadness. But I won't be able to keep my promise to you, Itachi, please forgive me. With that, Naruto charged, bringing his staff down just as it was swallowed by a small hurricane just as Sasuke brought his hands together in a tiger seal. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.